Hello, and welcome to today's, well, it's called the orientation session, but let's call it more Taste of the Good Food Network. My name is Lucas Simmons. I'm your holistic nutrition practitioner here at Good Food and You. I'm also one half of the team over at Histamine Haven, and my work is always in helping people know there are some things you can do through the way you feed yourself and the way you move through your day that can help you alleviate whatever it is that's driving your symptoms. What does that mean? You can eat to feel good. How about that? Why don't we look like I think a lot of people think of nutrition as, oh, that's where they help you go grain-free, dairy-free, or that's where they help you go low histamine and then you just eat a diet. No, it could not be further from the truth. The work that I do is to help you figure out what are the foods that are going to do repair for you. And when we do repair, then the capacity for the amounts and the variety of foods that you can tolerate increases. And also, those foods you're including into the foods that do repair, now that's what's actually bolstering your bodily function day to day. Like this is making you be able to contribute to the world, to retain your vitality and your resilience. So, yeah. I specialize in people who have sensitive systems and people who have chronic health conditions. But this is information for all of the humans. So, what the purpose of this session usually serves is this is what we're doing in the Good Food Network for this month. Might you like to join us? That's what this whole thing is. So we're going to call it Taste of the Good Food Network. I've got my notes in front of me. This whole session is to give you a little bit of a sense of what it is that you can expect in the network for the month of October 2025. So at the end of this session, you're going to have a chance to join in for a 7-day full refund kind of scenario where you can test drive it before you decide. So onwards and upwards, shall we? One of my favorite sayings. Thank you, John Worthington, the old disc jockey from CKUA. Okay, so I want to start with a little bit of a truth bomb. And I'm seeing this quite a bit in my clients these days. And not just my clients, but in conversations I'm having with people who are looking for solutions, in some of the chats I'm having on socials and all these different things, that people are in what I'm noticing is there's kind of two phases to turning to nutrition. There's the gathering information stage, very valid stage, totally necessary. But gathering information doesn't actually resolve your symptoms. Ugh. Doing the work does that. And so I'm here to help you gather the information, but shift that into doing the work as well and simplifying a whole lot of it. I was just communicating with a client today, two clients, in fact, where it was feeling like there was a lot coming their way. And we've simplified a bit of what's going on behind the scenes in order to reduce their symptoms. They both went into a flare. So we identified why, and then we simplified. We took those pieces out. Instead of doing more research, instead of doing all these things, we just uncluttered and we got to work right away. And that's the kind of work that I propose, or that's the kind of approach that I propose that we're going to tend to in the Good Food Network. So, what are the top 4 struggles where, well, okay, let me take a step back. Our main topic this month in the network is going to be the gut as a foundation for metabolic health. I'm doing a full year exploration on metabolic health from June to June. I started in June on metabolic health. Actually, we start in July. Yeah, July to July then. Canada Day to Canada Day, because I'm Canadian. We are doing a full year on metabolic health. And for these 2 first fall months, we're going into the gut as one of those foundational pieces for strong, robust metabolic health. So the top struggles that I see in my clientele, and this is where I'm going to ask you, do you have these? When I hear these symptoms or these issues from clients I'm speaking with, this is where I say, oh, their gut and metabolic function in particular, and where those two meet, is really struggling. The top one that I see is fatigue. And fatigue can show up in a couple of different ways. It can be like, I'm really tired. It could be, I need a nap in the middle of the afternoon. It can be, I have a hard time seeing tasks all the way through. I used to be able to, and now I can't. Brain fog is another really big one that shows up as fatigue. And like deep fatigue, like I can't even get up to make a pot of soup kind of fatigue. I can't even get up to go pee because it's gonna take me 3 days to recuperate from that. So fatigue, lack of energy, in a couple of different systems that may not be functioning properly. The second one is histamine flares. Histamine mast cell issues, same thing to me. Well, they're not the same thing, but both have a gut as a metabolic foundation piece that's struggling. So if you know you have a histamine issue, in particular, if it's been getting worse and more reactive in our current day with everything going on, or maybe perhaps you're moving through perimenopause and some of these symptoms are ramping up, histamine is absolutely has a gut and a foundational piece to metabolic health that's struggling. Thirdly, sleep struggles. So anybody with insomnia, this can show up in so many different ways and can have a few different pieces to the puzzle. But key to the one common piece, everything that's disrupted there is gut and metabolic health that's struggling. So whether it's hard time falling asleep, whether you're the person who wakes up a lot at night, whether you're the person who's not rested when you wake up, whether you're the person who's always getting up to pee 17 times a night, the gut and metabolic health foundation is struggling. And last but not least, perimenopause and menopause shifts that are ouch. If you got a big old capital O ouch going on as these symptoms start to show up, the gut and your metabolic foundation has been struggling for a long time. How you move through perimenopause and menopause is actually a report card on your metabolic foundation. And the gut has a really big role to play in there. Do you know you make a lot of hormones and you clear a lot of hormones in your guts? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you have endocrine cells that line your intestinal tract. What? I know. You are a marvelously made being, just so you know. So those are some of the top ways that I see it with clients. I have a lot more and we address a lot of them in the Good Food Network. But do you see yourself in one, or even maybe even more than one of these things that I've just name checked? Do you struggle with the fatigue or brain fog? Do you struggle with histamine stuff? Is insomnia kind of just how you're moving through life now? Or is menopause or perimenopause really troublesome? I have clients who have all four. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And all the things we're going to be doing will help appease whatever's driving these symptoms, to be clear. So if you said yes to any of these, you can stay in research mode. You can go find out why. You can ask ChatGPT. You can try to download all of the checklists and all the questionnaires that you can ask people. Information gathering mode is important, but it's not going to get you the solutions you want. You need the practical day-to-day work. You need a container to help you practice what it is that's going to help reduce what's driving the symptoms. Guess what that container is? Ye old Good Food Network. Wait. So, going to give you a little bit of an example of the kind of things we might do in the Good Food Network. So I sent this out to my newsletter. So if you're on my newsletter, you might have gotten this video today. I did it last week and it's been up on YouTube since then. But okay, I want you to do an experiment with yourself. And if you find that there's quite a big shift in some of the ways you move through your day when you implement this idea, that's going to tell you that your gut and your metabolic health potentially are struggling. So here's the experiment. It's a really easy thing. You don't need special tools or anything, but we're going to do a 2-minute nervous system reset before a meal. So in particular, you're going to want to do this before you sit down to breakfast or lunch at your desk or supper with your loved ones, if you will. Although sometimes that's not very good to the nervous system if there's strife or big drama going on at home. But pick a meal where you'll be able to do this and you won't have to make apologies or explain what it is you're doing. So try this before a couple of meals this week. So we're going to do it right now. I want you to put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest as I cough. Dislodge something there. So one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest. And then I want you to do 5 slow breaths. And before we do the 5 slow breaths, I want your intake count your intake, and then when you breathe out, I want your breathing out to be longer. So if your intake is for a count of 4, then your breathing out has to be a count of 5 or more. So let's do a couple. Here's the first one. Again. So there's 2. Do 3. And 4. And 5. Now, before you tuck into your meal, I want you to observe, how are you feeling in your body? What does it feel like? And I wish you were here so you could tell me in person. I'll tell you what I'm noticing. Maybe you're noticing the same things. I feel like my voice is lower. I feel like I don't have to rush my words. I feel like I don't have to be super speedy through things. And I feel much calmer. So what this is, if you're doing this before a meal, you're turning on the rest and digest mode. And your nervous system only has rest and digest or fight or flight. So rest and digest allows you to rest and digest. And the other one lets you fight or flight. You can't do both at the same time. So if you have the stress response turned on, you cannot digest. That whole function is turned off when you've got the fight or flight on. So if you try this, here's my challenge to you. If you're going to try this in the next couple of days, I want you to notice how differently you feel later in the day where you did that action before a meal. And check to see what you notice that has shifted. Are you sleeping better? Are you less burpy, less farty? Do you feel a little bit more even-keeled and able to continue on with your work of the day? How else might you be noticing it? Do you have less of anxiety over the day? Is your mood a bit better? Is your capacity a little bit better? Do you fall asleep better? Is your pain levels decreasing? What are you noticing? And just sit in that curiosity to notice and really pay attention to what shifts so that you are in the moment. And part of this is in resetting that nervous system. But this helps us turn on rest and digest mode so we can digest. And we are doing everything about the gut as a metabolic foundation. And when we can actively get you out of fight or flight and into rest and digest mode, now we're really starting to do the work in the gut. And in fact, we're going to do one big main session this month in the network about how the gut and the nervous system are entwined. We're doing a full 2-hour class on it, actually. So this is one of the pieces, the practical pieces that you would get when you join us in the Good Food Network. So was really just to help illustrate what is the kind of work that we do in the Good Food Network. So it's a bit of a taste. That's what I said we would do today. I said we would do a taste test of what is in the Good Food Network and small doable shifts that help to do that retraining of your system so that it can function better, so that there's less complications. And a lot of it is actually simplifying some things and kind of letting go of a bunch of things and just doing some really super unsexy things that help us get the results it is we're looking for. Okay, so I want to give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. So I've got a slideshow prepared. I'm nothing if not organized. We're going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, because I like to give you a little something to look at, because my face is nice, but that's enough. I mean, it is a good hair day, but let's not push it. The Gut as Metabolic Foundation, that is what we are doing in the Good Food Network this month. So our main topic is just that. What does it mean, this gut piece? It means gums to bum. It means the intestinal tract, digestion. It means your microbiome. It means addressing how you're pooping. It means addressing how all of those digestive pieces are working. And it also means, how is it tied into metabolic health? What does it mean when we look after our gut, and why do we care that it has something to do with metabolic health? That's everything that we get into in the Good Food Network. I'm going to give you a sneak peek at some of the sessions we've got. We meet once a week, and you can join us live, or you can always catch the replay. I make sure everything is available so that it can fit into everybody's schedule. But we do these Thursday morning sessions, mornings in Canada, afternoon here in the Netherlands and in Europe. These are our sessions this month. Once a week. Tomorrow we're doing Meet Your Microbiome, half hour. We're doing Hidden Gut Saboteurs, things that mess up your gut, in later October. The gut hormone connection, we'll dive into the gut immune connection, why 70% of your immune system lives in your gut and what kind of impact it has. And then we get into gut health after 40. That's the predominance of who I support in the Good Food Network and in my solo work. So I want to make sure that we kind of tie it all up neatly in a bow to give you those actionable steps moving forward. So all of these are centered on the gut as that metabolic foundation. Now, what else do we have? We've also got a 2-hour class. When you join the network, you get access to this. It's happening live on October 15th. If you can't join us live, then you'll get the replay once it's done. But this is going to be a whole class on your second brain, how your nervous system shapes your gut health. This whole experiment we just tried is one of the ways in to identify how these two are connected so that you can feel it. And I think if you're paying attention and you're able to stop long enough to be able to pay attention, now you start to live in it as opposed to gathering the information for yourself. So, yes, of course, the first part of this class is explaining some of the things, but the last part of the class is always about the practical ways into supporting this connection. What else do you get when you join us? You also get, so many food ideas. You get 5 new recipes each month. They are always going to be focused on our topic, gut health, this month. They are seasonally inspired as always, and we have variations for everybody who needs them. So our variations will include low histamine alternatives, dairy-free, grain-free if you need it, gluten-free if you need it. Yeah. And so I want everybody to be invited to our table. And if you're like, I don't even want all these convoluted, I don't need grain-free, gluten-free, Luca. I don't need dairy-free. Then they're good for you too. Don't worry about it. We have tasty, tasty things. This is about making real food and making some staples that are pretty standard things that you can bring into your meals, into rotation. Now, every week we also do a weekly food challenge. So this week happens to be spearmint tea, which is why I've got this image here. And in the Good Food Network, we talk about why this in particular might be a really great food to focus on. Liver is where you will really shine with the spearmint tea, will really support the liver's role in all of the digestive processes. It's also really great for a lot of other things. So we talk about what it's good for, and then I give you 6 to 8 ways to think about incorporating it into your days. So each week, there's kind of a, what do you want to add to your grocery list kind of practical piece. And there's often recipes included as well, and inspiration so that it can be a doable thing in your kitchen. In addition, in the network, we also have a whole section on seasonal eating. And we dive into it because I leave it there because I name check it all the time. So I wanted to have a repository where you could always go to dig deeper and understand, what does it mean to eat seasonally? Why is it important? And how do we do it for the current season at hand? And it is the most delicious season of all right now, fall, yeah? So we give you a list, the royal we, give you a list of foods, teas, herbs, and superb foods to help nourish you through this season. We give you a couple of extra bonus pieces as well on some of the energetics and things to maybe contemplate in your life if you're looking for a meditative aspect and something to think about and mull over in order to figure out your direction through the season. That is a very underutilized part of the network, I might add. And in there, of course, in that seasonal eating, you have another bundle of recipes to really take advantage of the season's bounty. What else do you get access to? You get access to one of my vitality classes, and this one's on the gut. Of course it is. Yeah, this is all about having a working knowledge of your digestive system. You will, at the end of this, understand what I mean when I say the gut is ground zero. You will learn all about this mysterious thing called the microbiome and learn about what are some of these negative impacts on your gut. This whole class has very similar content to the weekly sessions we're doing. So I do it this way so that you've got repetition of things to do for the person who wants to consume all of it. For the person who only wants to consume one area of the network, then know that we'll have you covered any which way. The repetition helps in some cases. It's all good. For the person who's still in the information gathering stage, Vitality Gut is an awesome class to help you get that deep understanding. Because at the end, we help you walk away from the class with 5 key strategies to implement so you can start loving up your guts. That class alone is $80. You get access to it for the entire month of October when you join the network. Everything's on replay. You do not need to attend anything live. You sure can, but you don't need to. You get immediate access upon registration, and you can access everything all month long. The only time something is not available is because we haven't done it yet. So if it is a live session, it will only be available in replay once we've done the live session. So, listen, pals, there's a reminder to end this whole section. Research mode keeps you circling. Practice mode moves you forward. Do you need a container to help remind you of the practices? Does it get tricky to remember some of these to-do pieces? I'll tell you why it's tricky. It's because it's not in a pill form. It's because it's not in these ways. They're daily ways to move through the world. They're daily ways I propose you look to your kitchen as your ally, making a batch of meat stock once a week. We talk about why and we give inspiration in the Good Food Network and so on and so forth. So the whole Good Food Network is there as a container to help you take that practice mode and really hone in on it to help you move forward. Okay, stop sharing Keynote. Well, I don't have. There we go. I think that stopped. No, now it stopped. Okay, sometimes there's a new way that Zoom operates, and sometimes it's above my head. So you do not need to attend live to any of those is part of what I wanted to make sure you know, but you can catch all the replays. So I want to do a little bit of comparison next. Okay, so if before, and today is a before, if before, do you find yourself, you are overwhelmed, you are collecting information, you are trying to understand the why behind some of the ways your body is reacting? Are you still just gathering info and your symptoms are not shifting yet? What if once you've been in the network and you've gone to some of these replays and you're starting to implement those practice ideas? Oh yeah, she mentioned that one 3 weeks ago. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh, that one's new. Oh, I've never done that one. I'll do that. Afterwards, do you, with this support, have you been practicing these weekly? Have you been stacking these healthy habits and adding them into how you're moving through the day? How differently will you feel when you start in on relying on food as your ally, relying on your kitchen as your ally, relying on these day-to-day consistency practices that help rewire and reset some of the biochemistry of your body? How differently does it feel? How are your symptoms? What's your top symptom? Do you have histamine stuff? Do you have deep fatigue? Are you just in information gathering mode? Do you have capacity to start building some practices? Are you ready to let go a little bit of that need to know and gather information stage? So I want to share one quick client win, because I think this is going to give you a little bit of a sense of how this Good Food Network can be of service. Because I built it with 2 people in mind. I built the Good Food Network for clients that I've worked with where they want the reminders and they need somebody to go, remember we talked about this. This is why. Are you going, oh, you're doing it right on, high five. And I also built it for the person who is interested in working one-on-one, but finds it overwhelming to join one-on-one things, finds it too expensive to get one-on-one support, or really just wants to build slowly behind the scenes because it's just Lucas a little bit too much sometimes. Okay, sorry. I'm not going to say I'm sorry. Go seek less. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But for the person who's looking for supports, I want to share a quick client story to give you an idea. This might help you know if the Good Food Network is for you. So I had one gal who, this is such a common theme that I'm seeing. It's why I'm talking about it so much today, but a gal who was overwhelmed with all of the to-do pieces, all of the information and the things she should be doing, the supplements she should be trying, the exercise she should be achieving for. And her symptoms were getting worse and worse and worse. She was researching things on her own and spending a lot of time and finding differing opinions online. She was trying a multitude of supplements from different people, different things that they were telling her to do, including over at Histamine Haven that we were doing. And her symptoms kept getting worse. They were not getting better. In fact, her anxiety through some of this solo research was really starting to get sky high and was starting to really impact her day-to-day working life. As a matter of fact, she had to downscale how much she was at work because of this rising anxiety. But I'm doing all the things is a bit of what she was thinking. But she was researching things and trying this, and then it would drop, and try this, and it would drop, and try this, and it would drop. And her symptoms kept getting worse. So, what we did, because we started one-on-one and then did some network stuff, we scaled back her to-do list. We really kind of simplified. We went back to some of those foundational pieces that are the very unsexy and very boring things to do on a day-to-day basis. And when she started to clear away some of that clutter and stick to the consistency and the reminder of like, oh, I'm researching, I'm trying to get things in here. Oh, I got to come back to this. Oh, I got to get out of this mode because this is when I'm really anxious. I got to come back to this. How do I come back to this? Oh, yeah, I remember we talked about I have to find joy every day. I'm going to go for a walk. Okay, I'm up in my head again. I'm just going to go make a pot of stock. I'm going to go make a pot of stock because I know that helps me. I remember how much we've talked about it. I'll go make a pot of stock. And as she introduced a new thing, she's really seeing a reduction in her symptoms. We're about 8 months into when we first started meeting up. She's doing a lot less than what she was doing when we first met up in February, and her symptoms are improving, interestingly enough. So, more is not always more. Yeah. And part of what we do in the Good Food Network is to try to help you decipher what are some of the basics that you can just rely on. And if you get the basics in, what does that allow you to let go of? That's really what we're doing. So let me give you some of the details and the invitation. So it's $40 a month to be in the network. Pretty good deal, I think. Newsletter readers will get it for $5 less. So if you are a newsletter subscriber, go check the newsletter that went out on October 1st. You'll get the special link there. You can also email me, I suppose, and then I'll go double check. But listen, you get to try it for 7 days risk-free. I'm going to give you 100% of the dollars back. I will absorb the $5 that my payment plan takes or my payment service will take. I'll bite the bullet for $5 and give it back to you. If you don't think that you got your money's worth out, if you get back to me within those first 7 days, has to be those first 7 days. Yeah, so we're kicking off month 2 with the gut as foundation for metabolic health. It's a perfect time to join. So listen, click the link just below where this video is and come and join us in the Good Food Network. Hop in today. We're looking forward to you. Even 1 or 2 practices can start shifting some of these symptoms you've got going on. And really part of why I built this Good Food Network, I want you to know you're not alone. We're in this together. They're simple things. They are the things that is the secret sauce to getting the results you're looking for. And even the whole question of getting the results you're looking for starts to also not feel right when you say it. That's like the salesy pitch, and it makes me feel gross saying it. But that is what you're getting when you join the Good Food Network, if and only if you join our sessions and you get to the work. I'll tell you, if you commit to half an hour a week, you're going to get good use out of the network. So wherever you're watching this, if you have any questions, hit me in the comments below. I'll get back to you. We'll get you the info you're looking for. But look for the links to join just below where this is. I look forward to crossing paths with you on the Good Food Network. Let's make it a delicious month, okay? All right. Sayonara.